What's up YouTube, Papa Snorlax here. So as I mentioned in Monday's video, I wanted to try reworking the blue-purple Barbados Destiny deck by taking out the Barbados package. I'm still keeping the splash of blue with Grandpa Gundam, Amuro, Zelotes, and a Show of Resolve. But before we get into the changes, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can stay up to date with future Gundam Roulette episodes, deck profiles, and other Gundam TCG content. This is the deck I ran this past week, which ended up taking second place at locals, only losing to Blue-Green 1 Year War. So let's get into the updated build. The biggest change was removing the Barbados package. I took out both sets of Barbados, Mikazuki, and 2 copies of Fatal Strike. In their place, I added 4 copies of Luna Maria's Gunner Zaku Warrior to replace the turn 3 Barbados slot. I also added 2 copies of Ray's Blaze Zaku Phantom, and then I added 2 copies of Force Impulse Gundam. I brought Impulse Gundam back into the deck because it can return Destiny Gundam from the trash back to your hand. That gives the deck a really strong recovery loop and helps keep your late game pressure going. I also bumped Destiny Gundam up from 3 copies to 4. For pilots, I increased Shin to 4 copies, and I added 2 copies of Rey Zaburo. For commands, I increased Show of Resolve to 3 copies, up from 2, and I also added 2 copies of Reliable Big Brother. Now let's talk about why I made these changes, starting with Luna Maria's Gunner Zaku Warrior. This was basically a 1-for-1 swap in terms of level and cost for Barbados First Form. It has a solid 2/4 body and can link with any Minerva Squad pilot, which gives this deck 8 possible links for the unit. Even if you don't get the early game link, it's still a pretty hefty body that usually forces your opponent to commit multiple resources if they want to fully remove it. Next is Ray's Blaze Zaku Phantom. I added 2 copies because this card is really strong when you can get Ray piloting it, but it can also link with any of the other Minerva pilots. It's great for stopping ping damage, and after playing enough matches against this card, I already know how annoying it can be if it's left on the board while linked. Then we have Force Impulse Gundam. I originally took 2 of these out, but I'm bringing them back because this card is still extremely solid whether or not you link it with Shin. The main idea is that you can use this unit aggressively, trade it into one of your opponent's units, and then get value by grabbing something back from the trash. You can dump Destiny Gundam into the trash, use Impulse to take something out, and add Destiny back to your hand. And then if you have Destiny with a pair, you can bring it right back and keep that cycle going. That kind of synergy is exactly why I think the Minerva Squad package is so powerful. I still feel like this archetype has a lot of untapped potential and could eventually push its way further into the meta. For pilots, I added 2 copies of Ray to pair with his Zaku. Ray is great when you're trying to remove a problem unit because he can prevent 2 damage during the turn you link him. So if you swing with a Minerva Squad unit and Ray is linked to it, that unit is protected from 2 damage. When Ray is linked with his own Zaku, that protection goes up even more. Ray's Zaku can prevent 3 damage that turn, and if you add damage control on top of that, you can potentially block a huge amount of damage. That lets you swing into big bruisers, survive the exchange, and keep your board presence going. The last card I want to talk about is Reliable Big Brother. I think this card has a lot of potential in this deck. Since we already want to put cards into the trash, Reliable Big Brother helps us do exactly that while also pinging an enemy unit for the damage based on the number of Minerva Squad cards placed into the trash. It almost feels like a Minerva Squad version of Close Combat. I'm only running 2 copies right now because it is a little situational and you won't always hit a Minerva Squad card, but between this and the Minerva base, you should have a much easier time getting units into the trash for Impulse Gundam. And that wraps up this midweek deck update. Let me know what you think of this build. Are you running it differently? Is there anything you would change to make it run better? I'm Papa Snorlax, and thanks for watching.